Today I want to go back to rule set discussion and talk about that real quick because I don't understand why people hate Lylat crews so much. I understand that there's a lot of stigma around the stage, especially because of the Smash 4 era, but I don't understand why everyone hates Lylat so much. I mean, I do get like the points, but I really just disagree with a lot of the philosophies of a lot of people, a lot of important people in this community. You know, I want to talk about the good things about Lylat, I want to talk about the things that everyone hates about Lylat and why they think it's bad, but I want to just show that I feel like it isn't that big of a deal, dude. Like, it's really not that bad at all. And if you really hate the stage that much, or if your character is bad because of the couple of reasons why you know the character is like this game, like the stage is a counterpick, and if your character is bad on the stage, then like you're gonna have to ban it, or if you hate it, you ban it, but the stage should not be banned as in like the rule set itself. It should definitely be legal. So first, let's just go over the layout. It has a flat middle part for a while, 2 slants at the ledge, and then 3 platforms that are basically, there's not like, it's technically a triplat because it's 3 platforms, but it is not like the standard triplat where the middle platform is higher. So it's going to be just all basically flat platforms with the side platforms being slightly lower, just ever so slightly. It's kind of like a very small little triangle that basically the platforms create. So let's just get the first critique out of the way, which is the fact that people hate slants. I understand that people don't like slants as like a philosophy in this game, but at the same time, there's literally at most, depending on the rule set, or I guess at most 3 out of 9 stages have slants, and most rule sets have 8 stages because most places have banned Yoshi's Island Brawl, which, you know, I don't want to get into that because whatever, I'm just going to lose that argument anyway. But Lylat and Yoshi's Story are the 2 stages with slants, everything else is completely flat, and I feel like a slight difference in kind of the way the game is played, which isn't really that influential except in a couple matchups. You know, it's not going to be the end of the world. Having slants isn't really bad at all. It allows some characters to have more interesting, you know, edge play. It allows some characters to play a little more safely around the ledge. Even if a character doesn't want to play on the ledge in general, it is still pretty safe to do like falling aerials down the slants, because then you get that little slide which makes the spade like it auto spaces for you, which is kind of nice. And it can change the way edge trapping works if it's a character that like throws a projectile on the ledge, such as Banjo or such as Inkling with both of their down Bs, like Splat Bomb no longer will just sit at the edge of the stage and just wait for you to neutral get up into it, because otherwise you're just going to get hit from doing whatever else, or like you roll and then they grab and back throw you, or same with Banjo, you get side beat. And that's no longer going to be the case because of the slants on the edges of Lylat crews, which again I like a lot because it actually gives you a counterpick to characters that have really strong ledge trapping, because ledge trapping in general on slants is worse. However, to compensate for that fact, 2-framing is easier on slants because most hitboxes, you know, it depends on the character obviously, but most hitboxes will follow the slant, so now your down tilt, which normally hits at the ledge, is now hitting below, and so if your character has a decently high 2-frame, you know, like where your ledge grab animation is, you are going to get 2-framed way easier in order to compensate for the harder ledge trapping. So let's say I just use Inkling as an example because I already brought up Inkling. You're not going to get those Splat Bomb edge traps as hard, but you're going to be able to just down tilt the edge basically for free like every time, so you're able to get more edge guards and less edge trapping, which in my opinion is a really good trade-off, and it's a skill that you don't even have to practice as much because Lylat makes it easier for you. Like, if someone goes, oh, my entire edge game is disrupted because of the Lylat slants, they aren't paying attention to everything that happens with slants. Like, obviously, yes, some characters don't have that many 2-frames, so it's harder to abuse that. Like, I know Pikachu in general doesn't really 2-frame characters unless you're running off stage, so I can't really abuse the fact that my forward tilt goes on the slant, but at the same time, I still have edge guarding, I still have the ability to be on the slants in general just because I'm shorter. I get to use them with aerials because I low profile things, so out of shield aerials are going to be a lot less effective versus that, but it's all kind of a trade-off because then at the same time my pressure is going to be worse, and also I can't like back air up the slant because it messes with my auto cancel windows. You know, there's a lot of specific examples of characters being like, I don't like this stage, like Peach doesn't like the stage because the slants can mess with the float, but at the same time, if you can float and up air the entire, like instant float up air hits like every platform on this stage, and that is probably slightly worth not being able to float in the corner, considering you can still float in the corner as long as you're not going up the slant, so if you're spamming back air at the ledge to try to edge trap someone, that'll still work. Because of the importance of slants in certain matchups, it can also just create more of a stage control dynamic on the, you know, in the game in general, because you don't want to be on the down slant, for example, as certain characters, so you really want to fight for center stage so that you don't have to deal with the fact that you can't fight up the slant as hard, or, you know a character is really good on the down slant, so then you try to just play on the ledge, because then they're in center, you can fight up the slant, they don't want to fight down the slant. Like, I know it's worse for Pikachu to fight down the slant as well, because, like, my auto cancels will will happen later, so then I'm gonna be less safe on shield. And just there's so many little intricacies of slants, and I've been talking about it for what, like 7 minutes now. You know, based on like my recording, I'm probably gonna edit out some stuff, but slants are so intricate and allow such different play, both in edge trapping, just edge play in general. You have, you know, neutral, you have advantage. So many things can change just slightly. Like, it's not going to be a huge change that's like gonna ruin an entire character. Like, Peach is still like pretty good on Lylat, just not like broken on Lylat, like on all the flat stages. You know, having something different is good. That's why it's a counter pick. I don't think it should be neutral. Like, I'd really, like, after thinking about it a lot, I really don't think the stage should be neutral. I think Town and City is the safe 5th neutral. Lylat should definitely be a counter pick, but it should be legal. Another thing that I see a lot of people talk about is the fact that it messes with recoveries, and to be honest, that's not really true. I've seen very few instances of, let's say, Peach up B not grabbing the ledge, or Ike up B not grabbing the ledge, but that's more so a perfect position for you to miss than it is to basically, like, for anything else to mess up. The slant on the bottom is it has so much leeway. You can basically go, like, on the entire wing. So let's say this is the slant of Lylat where my hand is. If you go up, like, let's say with my quick attack, which is, you know, just in any of recovery that goes up, if you go up here at the very base of it, the stage basically fixes it for you, and you go all the way up the ledge, so it honestly helps more recoveries than it hurts. And again, it's more like a precise missing when characters like Peach and Ike, and I think I've seen Wario one time just not grab the ledge. Like, that is so rare to the point where you can't be like, oh, well, this stage sucks because of it, because it's like a perfect mess up. Like, there are plenty of characters that have recovery trouble on FD and on Smashville because there's like one part of Smashville that is like slightly less concave, and so if you have a recovery that you need to go up and ride up the slant, it'll just stop you and you just die. That's happened to me in tournament multiple times. I've seen teleport recoveries just kind of bounce off it for no reason. But it's one of those things that as the player that plays a character that gets bodied by those stages or those little tiny things, you have to just be ready for it. And it doesn't mean the stage is bad, it just means you have to be slightly more careful. And yeah, is that annoying? Sure, I don't necessarily disagree, but there are so few instances of it, and it's so difficult to do that mess up that, like, you're gonna, like, it might happen and you might roll your eyes, but I promise you, I have been hurt by Smashville more than anyone that's played on Lylat for as a Peach or an Ike has been hurt by Lylat. Like, I know there's this whole, like, movement that, like, slants are evil, and I really don't agree with it. I've talked a lot about it, and like, if you're in that camp, I understand why you don't like Lylat, because a lot of the people in the like, it's really hard to, like, convince anyone that likes slants that slants are bad, and it's very hard to convince anyone that thinks slants are bad that, like, Lylat is just fine, or, like, slants are fine in general, and I get that. It's a really stubborn movement for both sides. Like, I know I've literally unfollowed multiple people because, like, they just talk about stages, and then I'm just like, you're just hard-headed, and I hate talking to you, but I'm sure they think the same way about me, so, like, I get it, I understand. But I just want to throw this out to y'all to show you that, like, slants are way more in-depth than a lot of people give them credit for. It doesn't just ruin neutral, it changes neutral. And I'm not going to deny that it doesn't change neutral, but changing neutral doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's a counter pick. It means that it's a slightly new thing to be added to this platform fighter. It's not like we're just playing on FD. Like, if we really want to, you know, get rid of all variants, we just only play on Battlefield and, like, FD and, like, maybe Smashville, and that's it. Why would we play on any other stage? No, like, stages move and stages have weird platforms. We can just play on FD, Battlefield, and Smashville, which are stagnant, which are just there. And if you agree with that theory, then, like, sure, I guess you're kind of missing my point, but having slight differences and having variations in what stages are like is good for the game. It's healthy for the game. It's not like this stage is awful for characters. It doesn't make matchups that are 7-3 suddenly even or in that person's favor now. Like, it doesn't happen. And again, even if there are some matchups, like, I know Pikachu Peach in particular, because Pikachu is very good on that stage, and Peach, that's her worst stage, that matchup gets a lot easier for me. But spoilers, there are 2 bans in most rule sets that have Lylat on it, or most rule sets in general, so just use it on one of them. And yeah, does it suck to have an auto ban? Yeah, but I also auto ban Pokemon Stadium 2 against most characters just because Pikachu's bad on that stage, but I'm not saying we should ban Pokemon Stadium, I just don't want to play on it. That doesn't make the stage bad, that doesn't make Stadium bad, that doesn't make Lylat bad, it's just a personal preference thing. And yeah, having personal preference is fine, but your personal preferences shouldn't determine a rule set because I don't like it because these things that are rare happen, or I don't like slants. Like, if you don't like slants, don't play on the slants. Be good enough on it so you can still ban other stages so that the slants, you know, aren't going to auto-lose you a game. Like, you know, one thing I always do when I'm playing on stages is to just make sure that I constantly play on all the stages that are legal. Even Stadium, which I don't really like, I will still play friendlies on Pokemon Stadium team too, because if I don't want to ban it in certain matchups, I want to be familiar enough with the stage, and that is something that people that don't like Lylat or don't like Yoshi's Story or don't like Yoshi's Island Brawl, if that becomes legal like ubiquitously again, should do, so that they don't have to use their auto ban. If it's a character like Pikachu that's really good on FD and Kalos and you want to ban those because FD is not a great stage for you in general, you know, you don't have to ban Lylat, or you're not going to run into those hard stages. You should be comfortable enough on it in general, which is kind of just my philosophy with stages. But I don't know, I just feel like a lot of the anti-Lylat or just anti-slant mantra is just not understanding, I feel like, of how unique and how cool slants can be and how different they can just change a couple interactions. And yeah, you have to memorize the couple of different interactions, but you have to memorize a billion interactions in this game anyway. Like, you have to memorize so many different, you know, things on shield, whether they're rising, whether they're falling, whether they're retreating, whether they're approaching, what's adding a couple things of like, oh, if it's on a slant, if they're gonna slide. Like, that is, in my opinion, 100% fine. It's not nearly as much effort as a lot of people think it is, and I'm just kind of rambling at this point, so I'm just gonna stop. Thank you everyone for watching. As always, social media, Panda, and partner stuff is down below. Let me know in the comments where you are on this debate, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.